All right. Good afternoon and welcome to the June HPC review meeting. For any who have not joined us before, there's copies of the agenda on the table up here. I would call your attention to the paragraph at the bottom that kind of states our purpose and reason for meeting. Having said that, the first item on the agenda today is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion for that?
Move to approve the submitted. I'll second it.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next item on the agenda is old business. That is the request of Oscar Rodriguez to install a front porch light at 617 Washington Street. If you would please step forward, you're welcome to have a seat. State your name and address for the record and give us an overview of your request.
My name is Oscar Rodriguez, 617 Washington Street. I come in for the porch light.
Okay.
I sent a couple pictures, but I don't know.
I believe, yeah, Eve has those available for us. And so what you, these initial ones are what you're requesting or proposing, is that right?
Yes.
Sorry, so it's this,
All of those.
Oh,
are
any-
all of the options.
okay.
Yes. Mhm.
Was there one you had a preference on, or you're tabling any and all of them, or?
It doesn't matter because when I post the property, I don't find nothing there. So that's what I sent to this one. The first one where I sent it is similar, like Miss Eve sent it to me, but she said, no, it's not good. It's too modern.
Right, okay. Yeah, I think what's on the screen now would definitely fall into too modern category. I'm speaking for myself, but that's why we're here.
Yeah, I think those flush mounts push you closer to what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Are those the only flush mount options? It's next. Okay. Yeah, I think any of the flush mounts, I mean, those are pretty safe here. I don't have any objections to these on the screen, at least.
Yeah, I would agree. Any of the flush mounts on this page or the one on the next page, the kind of milk glass flush mount are all.
Does that make
Perfect.
sense? Like when we say the flush mount ones, so the previous slide, all three of those, and then this one here. Between those, I think it's up to whatever one you like, if the rest of the commission feels the same.
I get an email they told me it needed something like a glove close to the ceiling, but I don't find nothing. That's all what I find it.
I think these would.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's good. And this is just for the porch.
Yes.
Yeah. So I agree with you. Yeah, these three, or in the next slide, the one on the left, any of those would be fine. Not the one on the right. Don't do that. Yeah, so that one or the previous screen, those three. And not the ones on the first one. The first screen, so.
So do we have a motion?
I make a motion that any of these three, plus the one on the left on the third slide, would be acceptable.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? No? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
There you are, sir. Any questions from us? You
No.
understand which ones we're
Which
referring
one
to?
then? Which one was that?
So any
that
of
one.
these
That
or
one, that one, that one,
or
or
that
this
one?
one. Any of those four, any of them.
I'll send.
Okay, I like that one.
Okay.
Me too.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Take care.
Next item on the agenda is new business, the request of Season, hope I'm saying that right, Morris to install a rear fence at 1001 Jackson Street. Do we know anything?
I thought she was coming, but I mean, the application is pretty simple if we want to go ahead and discuss it.
Sure.
So she's applying for fencing at the rear of the property. She submitted this rendering of what it would look like. That's the location. It'll go above the existing wall. Wood panels with a flat top to be painted a stone color to match the wall.
So help me understand, the rendering, that's artificial, that's not real? That's just
Correct.
something okay.
Yeah.
And that's what she wants to put in, okay.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Is that a shadow box fence or what is it?
I don't believe so.
I can't tell.
I think
It
it's,
doesn't look like it.
no.
Questions, comments? We have a motion?
I would move to approve as submitted.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Wonderful. Eve, you'll relay the approval to her. Thank you. And that's it for for actionable new items. The last item on the agenda is to discuss the proposed demolition of the front half of the downtown YMCA structure and the construction of a new addition that includes facade improvements, a second story, redefined primary entrance, and updated exterior materials and signage. I assume you're here to represent. If you would, please step forward. You're welcome to have a seat again. Please state your name and the property address for the record.
Good afternoon, guys. My name is Jason Berger. I'm a partner with Dominion 7 Architects. I have my colleague here, Hannah Garrett, and we're going to kind of be tag teaming the walkthrough and the presentation. The address, I believe, is 1301, maybe 1313. Okay, thank you. And first of all, I appreciate, ladies and gentlemen, both. Eve, you've been instrumental in getting us to this point, so I appreciate your help, and Austin as well for some preface work and dialogue. So the main intent of what we want to do, rather than make this a formal presentation, although if some action, I know we're not formally approving anything or taking any action, I want to get us as close to that point as possible. And I just want to glean understanding from you all and what you need from us to get to that point. This is, or basically the goal is to leave with that direction as clear as possible. I don't know if any of you have studied this presentation in depth or know much about this project as a whole, but I'm sitting back there as we were working through the technical difficulties. That's almost the definition of this project. It's been ongoing for a while, and we've been through hurdle after hurdle after hurdle. And I'm just going to be candid with you. I think people are ready to see some more action. And this is a nonprofit organization where fundraising is huge. The budget is tight, and I think some of the donors are getting a little weary with the whole process. Just to give you a quick snapshot, this started back in 2019. Back when a YMCA national architect design consultant, Grow, came to the YMCA here and came up with the first concept. We as Dominion 7 didn't get involved until 2022, and that's when things started really to take traction. From our understanding is, based upon the guidance and the guidelines, is that the property itself, the building itself, the structure is a non-contributing mid-century institutional community building. And the way I define non-contributing, it's not historic in itself. It doesn't represent the property around it. And it's not intending to replicate or stand in a historic context in itself. So we're not sure that it's necessarily should be evaluated the same way, but that's why we're hoping to hear some direction from you guys. One of the main intents of the project was to, as you guys can see the image on the screen, it's probably uninviting of a structure of a place as you could imagine. And the YMCA being an anchor of the downtown and the community programs that it supports, it wants to draw you in versus appear as it currently does. So that was strategy number one, is to what could we do to enhance the curb appeal, to draw people in and to establish that beacon of the community that the YMCA does stand for. And if we go to the next page, have any of you ever been in the YMCA?
Yes.
Are anybody members currently? The next question is, has anybody got lost in the YMCA? Yeah, it's a nightmare. I feel like the solution to the problem that we were presented with from the YMCA is if you fix the circulation, you solve the building. So that was a big chunk of the effort, and the burden on us is how to do that. There's a running joke that there's 17 different floor levels within that building. You think it's a 3-story structure, but there are many transitions throughout the building. There's other things that we want to improve. If we go to the next slide, just the natural daylight and just the overall ambiance and the atmosphere. This is on the lowest level in the weight room, aka the dungeon. We want to promote the active lifestyle and the activity that goes along with that, and the wellness. So how do we solve this, or what was our potential solutions? What we're going for is we decided, again, going back to the circulation, to install a central stair. And that's kind of what the central building block there is in the middle of the plans. And that would connect the 3 main levels. And you could go one spot and get to everywhere in the building. We wanted to include just the wide circulation path, so you wouldn't have to go down these tight, narrow corridors. The idea was to try to departmentalize and to collect like uses in the building rather than have them sporadically spaced throughout the building itself. One of the main struggles is they didn't have the space for the programs that they wanted. So we intended to expand the building. And on top of that, the original structure, by the drawings and by the information that we had, the front portion of the building on Church Street was designed to be a multi-story structure. And so we were anticipating that we could still build on top of what the current roof is to add some more program space. Within our exploration and continued research, we found out that either the documents were not 100% correct, or it just wasn't built per the documents. So through structural evaluation, we found out that that idea was not going to be feasible to build on top, let alone the structure wasn't designed, or the loads weren't such that would be able to withstand the current activities that we're proposing. All that said, if we go through the next couple slides, we're going to get to a pretty stark image here. One more slide, and that's what we're proposing on doing. I know this is dramatic flair. This is not exactly what's going to happen, but the idea is pretty clear. We're going to end up tearing down the front third down to the basement walls, down to the slab on grade, and rebuilding up. So while some may say this was a step back in the design process, it gave us a lot more flexibility and a lot more options to, we were trying to work around a bunch of existing conditions, columns, the structural system, but now we have a blank canvas, if you will. So that also led to the curb appeal, to the front facade, and just how we could then work with what we wanted to rather than be limited by the existing. I'll take a pause here. I kind of went through a couple slides. I didn't know, Hannah, did you have anything additional holes you wanted to fill in?
The only thing I would add is that was an unexpected added cost, which, threw the YMCA for a pretty big loop, and we moved past it and we kind of recuperated some funds to handle that situation. But with an already tight budget, that was a pretty big deal for them to swallow.
Yeah, and we ended up with 2 different veneer facade options. And this it's kind of counterintuitive. Facade option B is what you see on the screen, and then we'll see next here in a minute, facade option A. This is the second, the most current, the most recent one that we have been pursuing. And I'll just clarify this, that there's a mix of materials here. That's not the final intent. This was just as a way of showing different palettes, different colors, different material types as options. We would intend it to be symmetrical with, you can see the wood cementitious siding on the one side, and that would be mirrored on the other side. And then the windows on the far, the building in the background, it would be symmetrical, but we were just showing different configurations and different options. So this is one option that we have been exploring. There are some preferences to this option, but we're also willing to look at the next option, the original facade option. We're trying to find what the commission would be most comfortable with. If there's leanings one way or the other, I think we could tailor to that. From what we've heard, we think that the more restrained option, what we call the white option, might be the preference, but again, hoping for some discussion there. Then I'm going to come back to these in more detail. But I just wanted to get it up front and out in front of everyone. So I was hoping to get some understanding and some education on just the historic district within itself. The boundary and the process of creating the boundary, what's encapsulated in the boundary, and we can kind of flip through to probably 3 or 4 slides from this where we start looking at the GIS and the boundary proper itself. Yeah, so this is the gray is the boundary. You guys are probably all well too familiar with this. That green outline is the Diamond Hill district where the YMCA is. The YMCA specifically, that blue polygon there is where the project is in question. You can see it's making up the boundary, the perimeter of it, in some portion of itself. The snapshots and the imagery shows the more residential character, the residential nature of the surrounding properties. And then if we flip one more slide, this shows the commercial properties that are adjacent and almost touching nearby the boundary. So I don't know how discussion is going to work. Do you guys want me to continue through the presentation as a whole and then come back to questions later, or are you guys open to just discussing as we go through?
I think whichever you prefer. You can keep going if you like. If you have
Okay.
questions,
All right, then we'll come back.
interject. Yeah.
So one question I will want to follow back up on is the origination of the boundary and just the process of what was included and what wasn't included, and just how that happened. And then we'll take a quick look at some of the surrounding properties of commercial context that are nearby. So that was across the street. These two are across the street here. And I don't want to hound on this or focus on this too much, but we were just looking, has there ever been a case where a building or a structure was within a district and then could it potentially be redistricted or excluded for whatever certain case? I do not know all the ins and outs of what happened back here in 2019. I just found an article where there was a structure, Virginia University of Lynchburg had a structure, and it somehow was able to bypass some of the requirements.
So I'll fill in for that part. If a property wants to be removed from a historic district, it's a public hearing process through HPC, Planning Commission, and then finally Council. And that's how our local districts are designated as well. It's a public hearing process. So any boundaries would have been set by Council.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That's good to know. And then the next slide here is just the more modern YMCA facilities. They want to be something that's welcoming, something that draws you in. They want to be less of the more institutional look as before. Lots of glass, lots of light, lots of just elements that promote community coming in, because that's the whole point of the YMCA. I'll take another quick pause here and ask Hannah, good?
I'm
Okay.
good, yeah.
All right. So the biggest thing for us is, okay, we know we have to acknowledge, be sympathetic to, abide by some guidelines. What should those be? The question that we would have is, does the commission agree that the commercial design review guidelines, are they the correct framework for this project? Are we evaluating this as compatible contemporary civic architecture? If we go to the one more slide, this is probably the best guideline that we could see in the packet of guidelines. Is this what we want our project to follow? And if it is, we took with AI, anything is possible. So the next slide shows that AI generated image of taking some of those guidelines and principles and pasting those on the streetscape itself. I'm not sure that does a whole lot for us for our specific project. It's not the welcoming, happy, cheery, inviting facade. And I think this is going back to something that the YMCA never really was or intended to be. We need to find a design that fits within the community and not something that's just, I want to say, fake or non-historic. So this gets us back to the two options that are on the table. And I think I mentioned it before. We want to find out which is one that would be most comfortable for you guys. And specifically, are there elements, what are the elements that are the sticking points? Or where can we evolve the design, maybe keep some of the portions of the renderings that you see and either elaborate, reduce, so on and so forth. And then if we go to the, yeah.
Where's that parking garage used to be the building? I'm trying to remember now.
To the right.
It's to the right.
Y'all gonna fix that front of that?
That's outside of our purview.
Okay.
That's a huge deal right now is parking.
Yeah.
The latest that I heard, and there's 27 spots, I believe, on surface level. And I think they want to at least get the elevated deck gone so they can use the surface level spots. So good question.
Budget has been a huge constraint across the board, so if they could, they definitely would.
I think Hannah brings up a good point. Budget is I don't want to say the number one driving factor, but it really is. And thanks to Austin, he gave us some pretty good direction and feedback. And we looked at several different iterations, but they're almost deal breakers. If we start introducing masonry veneer at the full extent, it's something that's adding $500,000 potentially to the job that the YMCA is struggling just to get to the point of raising enough and having enough commitment to even do this or even the simple, the white design. So such to the point that the project just might not happen if budget has to be increased due to some of the veneering options. I know that's a lot to kind of take in all at once, but I think as a bottom line, the YMCA wants to be a partner. We're not coming in here demanding we need to do one thing over the other. We're seeking guidance. We want to be a team player. We want to find something that's compatible yet contemporary. I think, as I said from the get-go, we are looking for something clear, some specific guidance, something that we can have direct action for. The right framework to how to review this, and just the best path forward that we can get a formal actionable approval or denial or just some action to go forward. So I appreciate it. Thank you for your time and open for discussion. Let's hear what you guys have to say.
So keep me honest, Steve. I'll start by saying a few things. One, we're typically not an advisory committee, more of a review committee, so we can offer individual opinions, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's how a vote would go. Two, this, as you stated, is a non-contributing building. Though in a historic district, it was built in, I believe, 1955 per GIS. So doesn't really, it's not like most of the rest of the buildings in Diamond Hill. It's right on the border, as was highlighted.
When was the district established?
That sounds right, yeah.
So obviously, when the district was established, the building wasn't old enough.
Right, but that wasn't the only factor
Yeah.
to it being non-contributing.
Yeah.
So,
Does the application speak specifically to the building?
Yeah,
it does,
it mentions it, and in there it mentions it being non-contributing. It basically just gives a description of the building, but it doesn't elaborate much more.
If we go back to the image of the borders, I think that the only reason why it's included is they wanted to get a couple more houses that were right
The
beyond
house
it.
on the other side of the street, yeah.
I don't think the intention was ever to really want to include it. So,
Well, it couldn't because of its age.
yeah.
says this building does not
thinking
contribute to the
geographically
historic
as well.
character of the district.
Do you know how long the YMCA has owned the mansard roof house next to it?
That I don't have the information. I think that's our biggest premise. If it weren't for the house that's right next door now, the Victorian style house, if that were just magically disappear, I know that's just fallacy, but
You don't do that.
I don't think that the YMCA probably would have been included. I think it would have been the border.
The borders were cut around.
Right.
Probably back in the 70s.
I wonder if that same state would, just throwing ideas out or comments out, if that district was created today or updated today, would that statement of non-contributing still be made by someone who was writing that district, writing that PIF, that application? It's certainly,
They've owned it since 96.
say again?
They've owned it since 96.
So I think if the different district were established today, the building is old enough to be considered. It's more than 50 years old. I think they probably would call it contributing.
I don't think so. I think.
No?
Yeah, because
I mean, there's a range of historic styles in every district. I mean, we can,
Right,
We've
but
had
for
this-
them to specifically call out that it doesn't contribute to the neighborhood
yeah,
at the end of the nomination,
okay.
that's usually they wouldn't call it out specifically like that.
Yeah.
If it was just an age.
Yeah, I wouldn't, because it's labeled as non-contributing, it's not one of those, Jerry and I were talking earlier, it's not one of those, the hills that you die on, that this building is so architecturally significant or nice that if the district were updated today, it absolutely, would be a stellar contributor. And that's probably not the case.
So I don't think, and this is from staff's perspective, I don't think the demolition is necessarily the question at hand. I think it's the new construction part of the application that we really need to focus on and how that moves forward and then what direction that goes.
And you mean the exterior.
Right.
All right, well, one of the things you want to do is not recreate an old look.
Right.
I love that brick building if it was somewhere else. Like, recreating a brick building like that is not what we want to do in historic districts. Like, it's too artificial, it's too Disney instead, so. So once you take down what I think is a reflective building of the international style of the 50s that I think is contributing to an historic district and maybe in a different place in a different world, then something like this, to me, would be comfortable once you figure out, I would be comfortable with something like this replacing it. Once we all are going to agree that we're going to take down an international style 50s building, that in and of itself is significant because we don't have many of those. But once we agree to that, then this looks fine to me, some version of this.
Well, as you said, Jason, the disparate materials now is sort of jarring.
Right.
Sure.
Is it wood? Is it going to be kind of
Yeah.
stucco? Is it,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't, and again, I think you said we need to speak individually because we're not speaking as a group right now.
That's my understanding, yes.
So,
Well, since I started, if you can finish me off, I would be comfortable with this look. Pick out which one of these, whether it's wood, whether it's stucco, given that most of the houses the wood looks too modern.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I don't think it's
The wood
that.
is-
It's probably more the white or the whites and grays would be fine. Yeah, and the railings are fine to me too. Would they fit around the corner? No, they would not, but they would be fine with me. So what you proposed here, and whatever's cost effective or what's here would work. I would be inclined to vote for it. I'm inclined to vote for it, just make sure. Yeah, so I haven't committed anything, so.
I think
I'm done.
the wood, I don't think fits in its vocabulary. It just doesn't seem to work. For me, the white, the other, whatever, this is B or the A, the other one was too stark, too white. Yeah, it's just, it just doesn't, it's not quiet enough for me. And the other one, if you go back to the other one, even the white over there on the little piece to the side, I think if it were a tone more in towards the gray or something to quieten it a little bit. I don't particularly have a problem with the big windows on the right versus the smaller on the left. And again, for it to glow. I don't have a problem with the white colors per se. I do think it would be nice if that weren't quite so tall.
Okay.
If it, maybe the thickness of the upper piece above the parapet, but jumping up the bunch of feet, it just kind of screams for itself. I think it could be for me, a little quieter and still say, I think the colors in the glass yell in or here well enough without having to hold your hand up that high. And I think that's probably the same thing on the other one. The other one had a little more of a top hat. That, for me, this one is the quieter. If it's toned, just those couple, less white, no wood, and just a little better in scale on that entrance guy.
And this is your preference too.
Me.
Right. This is your preference of the two,
This is
right?
My personal preference. It's kind of funny. Within the board itself of the YMCA, there's mixed opinions. That's why we're throwing two. I would love to come with one saying this is what we want to go with. And that's why it's such the indecision on our part in throwing the two options out there. So, this is as of today, this is the preferred option, yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Please, no, go ahead.
Similar comments to Gary Emmett said. I'm inclined to support it. I do like the clapboard, maybe not necessarily the wood. I agree maybe a little bit about the proportion of the entry. Not to put Emmett on the spot, but I think there's a similar strategy that can maybe be implemented of treating it as an entry in a background building.
Mhm.
And maybe making the background quieter. That worked fairly well at the academy with the new addition in that district.
Yeah.
I think that could work nicely. Yeah, I mean, I think a quiet brick building would be nice, but understanding, you've got a realistic budget you've got to work to.
Yeah.
That's certainly
And
understandable.
early on, I went, the brick one is much more warm and
Yeah.
for me, but in that it was originally an international style.
Yes.
The metal panels are okay in that.
More in that language. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've always felt, sorry.
No, that's all I got. Yeah.
The back portion, we talked about this, is that I think it does tie into the international style. So I think it is paying homage to its original structure, balancing it that way. I do personally like this structure, and I like the center portion. I think it does a good job of kind of doing breaking it up into three separate masses rather than one large mass. Whether it needs to jump out as far or not, I don't know if I have a comment on that. I think more windows is better in this case. I tried finding that image I talked about with DHR, where I forget where it was. They had a building that they built onto some colonial revival, big brick structure. And on the back of it was a very modern, it was modern, but it was glass. I don't know if curtain wall is the correct term, but these tall glass walls and the corners were brick. And so the center portions of the walls were glass. And so it tied in, it used the same vocabulary as the original structure, but it was very clearly not a building of the period or a building that was a part of this one. And so I'm just trying to look at what can we do here, if not brick, that does tie it into the district. And I don't know if I have that answer, or if there's some sort of a material like this that, we're tying into the original building, but since this is part of the Diamond Hill district, and this is the first thing that introduces you to the district, I don't think it's a deal breaker, but it's something to think about. Which of these materials, is there a way we can change the tone, what you're talking about, not having it be so jarring? Just something that helps introduce you to the district as well as the other buildings across the street.
And one of those, the really large one with the lighthouse in front of it, isn't that stucco itself?
Yeah.
So that kind of reflects this in some ways,
So yeah, for me, if I had to make a note, I think more windows could be good, or like the window option on the right. I think that's a better option, and gives you an opportunity. I don't know if there's any cost. I'm assuming the window increase is more costly than less window.
Yeah.
So I don't have an issue with the colors. Again, I think that it kind of like falls into the signage aspect. This is you proclaiming that this is the YMCA, and it's not exactly neon lighting, but there is an encouragement for neon lights, and it not being contributing, and it is such a used resource in the community. Like we talked about, the Diamond Hill, select members of Diamond Hill Historical Society weighed in. Of course, we showed them a brick veneer option, but they didn't really have too many issues with the colorful square arch, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only thing I would add is trying to find a way to take this and having it anchor back to something with the district. I don't know what that answer is, but I mean, like you said, there's a lot of options here.
Can you show that the houses across the street that I just
Yeah, I don't know.
referenced,
That's
the stucco one?
smooth stucco might not be
I
a
think
bad
it actually
option.
does tie it nicely in. Okay. It's more or less running really across the street, I think. You know, the blue one?
And they're painting that a darker color, right? Is that what
Yeah. So if you see that, that's kind of right there. It's already, it's a painted brick building. It's not stucco, okay? I don't believe. But so having that kind of sort of cement-like walls, we kind of just tie it together. And I really like your point of it still has that international style flavor to it. So it's not, again, I don't want a brick building as much as I think it's handsome. It's fake and make it into a brick like it looks like a 19th century building. It still references the fact that it was an international style. It's got this kind of facade right across the street from it, more or less. So
is a cornice of some sort of, it doesn't have to be like a traditional cornice, but some other small detail that can get put into this, that maybe that's the way there can be a nod, something subtle.
It has that there,
Right, with the,
with the little dark band.
like a gargoyle or a cherub.
yeah.
Sure.
But beyond that, I like it. I think this is a good option considering how unusual this particular building and location is in the context.
Peter, you have anything you care to add?
I do. Just before, I have some prepared remarks that I looked at this extensively, actually. I spent a lot of time looking at it. And Eve, did you forward to the committee of to Dominion my initial response?
I did not.
Okay, would you please do that?
Sure.
And then the remarks that I had prepared also following that up after their revised designs. Let me just say that I've spent a lot of time at the Y, not as a member, but they had some structural issues going on, particularly with water intrusion. And this was many years ago. I mean, it was several years ago. We were called on site because of the water intrusion. Nobody knew where it was emanating from, and they thought it was at the public pool. And we arrived when they was ready to start breaking away the concrete. I was like 4 feet from the pool, the walls of the pool. This is a sub-level. Have you been down in the, okay, you know exactly what I'm talking about, what all the equipment, chemicals are, okay. Well, if you notice, there's a large pit that is covered with a steel plate. That's our doing, okay? The Y has water intrusion from Washington Street, and it comes down underneath the basement there. And so we diverted that into the storm drainage because if you remember the farmer's market being excavated and water intrusion at the SunTrust building that was on Main Street, that was all emanating from that source of leak, okay? So we were the ones that discovered that. It caused a large upheaval, as you're probably aware by now. So the water is still being diverted in that respect, okay? So it's going into the storm drainage. So I have spent quite a bit of time in there for that and some other items that we actually did service or repair in the building. And I only say that to make you aware of the existing conditions there regarding the water. And we had the city chemist come out to actually test to see if it was fluoridated, but, and it was not within the specs. So anyway, that's a whole nother, that's a separate issue. My other concern is that well, anyway, let me just say, Eve will forward you my initial recommendation observations. And I consulted a friend of mine who has a PhD in exterior architectural design. He's one of 5 in the world that actually has this designation. And he's a very close friend. Because I was concerned about this, having been personally involved with the building. I actually went to the joint library and actually viewed their absolutely amazing architectural drawings. Absolutely incredible, a work of art that we observed. It was a pleasure to see that. But anyway, I had some input from my friend. Eve will forward you his initial. I forwarded to her his initial comments regarding your project, and he also has extensive design on the interior work on the commercial side, and so after talking with him, and I have also some prepared remarks regarding your proposal, and I'll read that to you now. After careful review of the revised redevelopment options presented for the downtown YMCA, it is my opinion that option B should be selected as the preferred architectural direction, subject to modest refinement of the entry portal composition. While both schemes demonstrate thoughtful consideration of contextual compatibility and institutional function, option B ultimately provides the stronger long-term solution for the YMCA's mission, visibility, and civic presence within the city of Lynchburg. The fundamental responsibility of the YMCA extends beyond that of a traditional building occupant. For more than a century, YMCA facilities have served as community anchors dedicated to health, wellness, youth development, education, recreation, and civic engagement. As such, the architecture must communicate openness, accessibility, vitality, and public welcome, while simultaneously respecting the character of the surrounding historic environment. Option A succeeds in providing a dignified and restrained architectural composition. Its symmetrical organization, masonry expression, and institutional character contribute positively to the streetscape and demonstrate an understanding of traditional civic design principles. The scheme possesses a timeless quality that would likely age gracefully and remain visually appropriate for decades. From a purely preservation-oriented perspective, option A represents a more conservative and predictable solution. However, preservation alone should not be the sole measure of success. Historic districts are living environments, not static museums. The challenge presented by this project is not merely a preserved context, but to create a facility capable of serving future generations while maintaining respect for its surroundings. In this regard, option B demonstrates a more successful synthesis of contemporary civic architecture and institutional identity. The design establishes a stronger public presence, greater visual transparency, improved wayfinding, and a more welcoming relationship with the community. The enhanced glazing, clearly articulated entrance sequence, and the distinctive architectural framing create a building that is immediately recognizable as an active civic destination rather than It's simply a renovated structure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Well said.
Excellent.
I'm not sure what other, well, I pause to say advice. What else we can offer you today beyond what was stated? Is there something more that you're seeking today, or?
Maybe a few more questions. One is, I hope you guys can sympathize the YMCA. They're anxious. They're ready to go, and I think that's evident just through talking to any of the members or the board members and so on and so forth, the donors. If my understanding is correct, the next potential for a meeting and potentially action would be mid-July, July 20th. Okay.
Right, but, and so if, I'm trying to think how to say this. So the next steps would be to revise the design and create building plans. And at the point that you have building plans with a finalized list of materials that includes location of lighting, location of all windows, location of all doors, it's not just the front facade, it's going to be the whole building. And so to get that formal approval or denial, that's kind of the next steps.
Okay.
And so, you know, we discussed a conceptual approval, but I don't think that's appropriate anymore in this instance. I think the next step is going to be those final plans.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So just, you guys are probably mostly familiar with the architectural process. We are at a 65% CD level. So I think what you're asking, we have already.
Right.
So what is the best format to get that to you so we can check that box?
We can, if you can send me what you have, I can take a look at it and we can discuss from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
To be on the agenda for next month, they would need that application to officially be into you by,
I'd have to look at the deadlines. I don't remember.
it's a couple of weeks before
Sure.
the next meeting. So, yeah, it's early in the month. So
Okay.
you're just a couple of weeks away from having to have that application in, Jason.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Tighten up.
No, fortunately, we're there, so we're not far off at all.
Yeah.
And as you guys know, with the advent of three-dimensional modeling, Revit, the building's modeled, we're ready to go. So I don't see that as a problem. I guess in conclusion for us, I'll be honest. A lot of the commentary that I've heard is opposite than the way that I thought it was going to go. I've heard I don't want to say all, but a lot of positive stuff. Can I be Debbie Downer for a second? Does anybody see any reason or pitfalls or deal breakers from what they've seen?
I was more convinced to be on board and listening to what people were saying here, particularly the referencing back to the international style that they're doing here.
Okay.
So,
Well, that's great. I know I'm elated. I'm super ecstatic about this, but that's just a part of the puzzle. I know there's going to be many others who are going to be super happy to hear this news. So I really appreciate that, guys, and appreciate the time and the process.
The other thing I would add is that I want to make sure that the board is 100% with the design before we review it as well. 'Cause
Okay.
if there's going to be changes, I don't want to send it to the commission multiple times. So I think internal alignment is the first step.
Sure.
And then finalized plans is going to be the next step. And then will be the third step in that process.
Okay. Can you help unpack the internal alignment?
So we had discussed, that the board was talking about a couple different options, and then you had sent those revised renderings, and then they completely went
Sure.
backwards.
Sure.
So I just want to make sure that we're not doing that,
Again.
and everything should be finalized by the deadline date rather than afterwards.
and they have to understand that after we might approve it, they can't change things.
Right.
Sure. Understood.
Or they can, but it has to all come back and
Right.
everything stops and they.
Yeah.
Right.
I foresee once the momentum is had, it's nothing but downhill from here. And so I understand. Okay. All right. So as far as I'm concerned, I guess we'll check the boxes that need to be had and look forward to seeing you guys next month.
Great. Thank you for including us in what
your offering.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, thanks for all your work. Great presentation.
Yeah, this is gonna, I mean, the community, this is for the community, so it's great. Thanks.
Anything else from you, Eve,
I
on
don't
this?
think so. Mm-mm.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So that's the last item on the agenda, unless there's something I'm not seeing, Eve. All right, with that, we will adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.